Welcome back. Johannesburg is now under a microscope as it prepares to host the G20 summit in 2025 later on this year. President Cyril Ramaphosa called for accelerated readiness as triggered a massive undertaking to not just repair and restore, but fundamentally reimagine the city as a future-ready smart hub. But how did Johannesburg arrive at this pivotal moment? What are the critical challenges it faces, and what are the strategic steps that are being taken to address them? Today we are delving into this with Helen Botes, who's the acting COO of the City of Johannesburg, the driving force behind the city's revitalization efforts. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning, Helen.
Good morning, Aldred, and thank you.
It's been, what, 2 months now since the acting appointment?
Yes.
And what's that experience been like?
It's been an incredible experience to start reimagining the city and to start rebuilding the city and to throw in a lot of leadership efforts with my colleagues, with the support of the Mayor and the Mayoral Committee, to rebuild the city and to reimagine the city to the eyes of the residents. So the focus has been for the past an accelerated drive, restoring the inner city, creating plans and making plans to rebuild it and to reshape it, not just for G20 investors or for G20 visitors, but for our residents. We take the residents' complaints very, very seriously, and we are going block by block, precinct by precinct, street by street, to address all the challenges that have over time, the systemic challenges that have over time plagued the city. So it's been a focused journey, it's been an exciting journey, it's been difficult to overcome some of those challenges, but we will overcome them, and we are solution driven. We're starting to see the results, but what we have to have a sustainable focus on it.
Yeah, when the appointment happened, what was the key priorities that were set out for you, that these are the things that we'd like to achieve? And I know this is on the basis that you are still acting in this particular position.
The key priorities for me and for all my colleagues is to focus on rebuilding the city, to have time frames and to have measurable indicators that this is what you're going to do within the next few weeks. And we have to report in daily to the Mayor and his committee on things that we are doing and what we said we would achieve. One of the other deliverables was to create a war room that monitors everything we do on a daily basis and to hold people accountable, including if I fail to deliver in these next few weeks. We will be held accountable, and we're holding each other accountable to ensure that we get to the end of the road and that the city is restored not just to its former glory, but to what future generations can inherit. Yeah.
And this appointment took place before the announcement from the president that there will be a presidential working group. I understand that that's correct.
Yes, that is correct.
So how would you then work with whatever deadlines and targets that you've set yourself if the working group is yet to come in?
So there should be a natural alignment between ourselves and the working group. We will work out, we'll have a picture of the inner city, which we do have. We know which are our hot spots, we know which are our critical areas that we need to intervene in, we know what the state of the infrastructure is like. So together with the working group, we will work out and define the targets and define the timelines.
So meaning there's going to be new targets?
It should be aligned to what we're currently working on. In fact, it should be accelerated, so there would be more pressure. We've got between 3 to 24 months to fix the city up. So the 3 months is the quick wins, and our residents should see those quick wins within those 3 months.
You tell us about those. Which ones are they?
Well, the quick wins in my analysis, and as I've mentioned, I don't have the terms of reference of the working group or the targets, but from a leadership perspective, one would be to tackle all the bad buildings in the inner city, to ensure that the informal traders are sorted out basically from a demarcation point of view, from a legality point of view, and then to issue them with permits that to ensure that they're trading in the correct space, to fix up the urban environment. Sometimes a simple thing like a broken pavement must be fixed up. That's a quick win. It can be fixed up very quickly. To form partnership and seal those partnerships with the private sector and with the residents, not just in Region F, which is the inner city, but in all regions. And certainly to identify and audit those bad buildings in terms of the residents that are living in those buildings, to work with the law enforcement agencies in terms of understanding who occupies those buildings, are they legal, are they not legal, and then to prepare accommodation for them, even if we start with the preparatory work for that alternative accommodation. That we currently are working on. We do have a plan. We're refining our plan. It's now just to start the implementation thereof.
All right. Do you have the support of council? And you know why I'm asking this question, because of the concerns that have been raised by some political parties, including the Democratic Alliance, that your appointment didn't come through council, it wasn't ratified by council. Do you feel that you get the support?
I get the support from my colleagues, and I get the support from the majority and from the mayoral committee and from the majority of councillors. So the focus is to focus on the work and to get that done. And let process be followed in terms, and which it was followed in terms of my appointment. So I try to focus on the work. And getting stuff done.
Because the DA is saying that the report has still not been tabled before council, and council hasn't ratified this appointment as yet.
The city manager would have followed the correct procedure in terms of ensuring that the appointment was within the confines of the law.
Yeah. Does it muddy the waters at all that you have, and I know we're speaking about political parties here and sometimes political rhetoric, that you have political parties that are making this argument that, listen, like before, for instance, with the previous city manager whose appointment had to be challenged in court, that once again, maybe the city is facing a similar situation with your appointment?
Does it muddy the waters in terms of service delivery?
Yeah. And the work that you need to do?
Well, I focus on the work.
Yeah.
I focus on the work. Those that have to challenge the appointment would follow the right channels to challenge that appointment. My responsibility and sole responsibility is to focus on the work that was given to me, the deadlines that was given to me, and that's what I would focus on.
Yeah. The city manager position, did you apply?
The city manager position, I do believe it is it's open.
Yeah.
But that's a career choice and a career decision that I will make at the correct time and at the correct channels and platforms. I think it's you'll appreciate, Eldrin, that it's career decisions are personal. So, and they must be discussed in the right forum and the right channels and platforms.
Yeah. The deadline is the 31st. Have you spoken to anyone, or has anyone approached you to say that would you consider this position?
I'm not available to be approached. I'm available to make my decision on my own accord. And that's what I will do. It will be a career decision. It will be a life-changing decision. So it's something that I will really have to think about. Like I've said before, should I apply for it, I must know that I must add value for that period. And I must be completely focused for that period that I serve. So it is a career decision that I will still have to make at the correct time and the correct hour.
Yeah.
Let me say the correct hour.
Yeah, we've got about less than 2 weeks left to make that decision, considering the deadline. But I want to move on to one of the priorities that you mentioned was the issue around bad buildings. And you know the Usindiso Commission of Inquiry had actually said that you should be held accountable for the failure in taking care of the Usindiso building, based on your own admission as well. Why should residents trust that Helen Botes would be able to deal, as part of her priorities, bad buildings, if she couldn't handle the Usindiso building that has led to 77 people losing their lives?
So the Usindiso building was a tragic, which is regrettable on all fronts. One must understand that the decline of the inner city, the hijacking of the buildings, the illegality that happened around all the buildings in the inner city as a systemic challenge. And one faces financial restraints and other governance complexities within the system. So from an accountability point of view, you can't just hold one person accountable. You have to look at the accountability value chain.
Yeah.
And the city is complex. So there's a number of issues that arose that allowed that tragedy to occur, including somebody admitting that he started the fire.
Yeah.
So,
and that person is being held accountable. That person is appearing in court. Here's a commission of inquiry that said that you, as the CEO of the Joburg Property Company, must be held accountable. And now you're the COO of the City of Johannesburg,
yes.
which, amongst others, your responsibility or priorities are dealing with bad buildings.
And yes, and you're correct. But to deal with the bad building, to deal with any building, you do need the resources. You do need financial resources. You do need the collaboration of bylaw enforcement agencies. You do need the correct infrastructure in place. And the city is dealing with it. I think the mayor has mentioned they are looking at the report, they engage in the report, but to hold one person solely accountable for that, you have to look, in my view, collectively at the collective value chain.
Yeah. Do you think as CEO you failed in your fiduciary duties?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
So do you think that the report's finding was incorrect?
I can't engage on the report's findings because the report was not put in front of me as an individual. When the report is put in front of me, I will engage with it and look for my line of accountability.
Yeah,
and
but
how
I'm sure you have read
line.
the report, right, as CEO?
It's not been put in front of me.
But as CEO, you must have read the report.
But somebody must give me the report officially.
Yes, but I'm just saying, so are you saying that you've never read the report?
I've never read the report.
You've never read the report?
No.
Even though your name is mentioned several times, you've testified as well, and then you have this outcome, and you say that the mayor is dealing with this particular issue. You, as the CEO, has never read the report that implicates you.
The only time I can read the report is if it's put in front of me. It must be given to me officially. So the city as a whole, including the board, is looking at the report and engaging it. They will come to me and then submit the report to me in an official capacity.
Yeah. And with that said, so the board of directors, they haven't instituted any disciplinary proceedings against you?
Relating to the report?
Relating to the report?
No.
There's none of that. Now, once again, going back to your current role as acting COO, one of the issues that you speak about is accountability. Now, how should we understand accountability when somebody who's implicated in a commission's report hasn't read the report, and the city says that the city will need to do what the city needs to do, and this is one of the issues that there hasn't been accountability in the city, and that's one of the reasons that we've seen this decay happening.
So certainly if the city puts the report in front of me or the board and asks me to account and presents me with the charge sheets, I will respond in an accountable manner.
Would you like to see this matter expedited?
Yes.
What was the last word that you had with the mayor about it?
It's that the city is dealing with it and the board of directors, they're dealing with the report.
All right.
And they still, I know they're still appearing in front of the commission.
Okay, let's then quickly deal with some of the other challenges that you're looking at as we head into the G20 summit, the 2025 G20 summit, and the push that some people are making. And I'm sure you've seen the comments that have been made by the mayor of the city of Cape Town, Jordan Hill-Lewis, why he believes that the city of Cape Town should be delivering the G20 summit or hosting the G20 summit of leaders later on this year. As the COO, what's your value proposition that you're putting before the country and before the nation, as well as the city of Johannesburg's residents, why the city is the right host for this event?
Well, the city's got lots of economic opportunities that we can offer investors in terms of as we rebuild the city. All cities have to be rebuilt. They go through an evolution, and Johannesburg is at that stage where we can get ourselves investor ready. We've got the infrastructure. We've got that needs to be improved. We've got the buildings that need to be redeveloped, and investors are knocking on our door. Part of the G20 is to attract investors and to make the city business friendly for investors and tourism, business tourism. So Johannesburg, we do have those characteristics. It will benefit our residents, jobs will be created, SMMEs will be developed, and so it's important that we host the summit so that we can grow our economy. It is and will be an economic driver where our residents will benefit as well.
Yeah, and from an equitable share perspective, do you think that enough is coming to the city?
I think we could do it more. I think we could do with, and that's part of the working group where we're going to talk about the funding of the city and how we get funded and how we establish private partnerships to supplement that funding.
Yeah. Okay, then thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to conclude that point?
No,
quickly?
I was just saying we could do, all big cities could do with additional funding and with partnerships.
Yeah, private-public partnerships.
Private-public partnerships.
Thank you so much. Helen Botes is the acting COO for the City of Johannesburg on some of the plans ahead of the G20 summit, but also some of the issues that the city has to deal with in terms of infrastructure as well as service delivery.